Hey guys, Hayden here again from Alarm System Store, and today I'm doing an installation and enrollment video for the EDC W115C Smart Chime and the VDB780B all wireless doorbell camera. So basically what we got here, Smart Chime and the doorbell camera, and just to go over physical installation because there's hardly anything you have to do for these. The Smart Chime, you'll literally just plug into an outlet. I just have an extension cord here that I'm using so that I can show you guys what it does as I do the enrollment process. And then for the VDB780, it's almost just as simple. There's a single back plate that you mount next to your door, and that is where the camera sits. It just pops down on, and then it's got a little locking mechanism there. There's also a angle mount for the doorbell camera if need be. So this is a 10-degree mount, so if you needed, you can tilt it down or tilt it up, whatever you need to do to get that good sight alignment with your porch. The only other thing that you might need to do when you first get them is the VDB780. This bottom section here is the battery pack, and that is going to probably need charged when you first get it. They send a cable with it, just plug it into a computer or whatever and charge it. That'll activate the battery, get it ready to go. Mine here, I actually didn't have to charge it at all. It came 100% charged up and ready to use, so I imagine that's how most of them will show up, but just in case, make sure you charge it, top it off before you go to install this thing, and that way you'll get the whole 6 months or however long it's going to last out of it. If you guys want more information about the Smart Chime and the VDB780, you're welcome to check out another video I did a few weeks back. I basically unboxed it and talked about all the features that I knew of that were available to it. But as for enrolling, you're going to need two things. First off, you're going to need this little piece of paper that comes with the Smart Chime, and that's going to have a QR code on it. It's got the MAC address, and then it's also got a password if you need to set this up on your Wi-Fi manually. A lot of times it'll just work over WPS. Sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you'll have to use that. But anyway, keep that paper handy. You can actually take that sticker off and just stick it on here if you want. That way you'll never lose it. But yeah, the only other thing you'll need is your alarm.com app and a compatible video plan for doorbell cameras. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my phone ready. I'm gonna start screen recording. I'm gonna put it up here on the left, and we're just gonna run through it together. So I'll go ahead and jump right in once I get everything going. All right, so we should be good. First thing you're gonna do is you're just gonna bring up your menu on your alarm.com app. You're gonna go down here to video, or I take that back. You're gonna go down here to add devices right there. So we're gonna click add device, and the first thing we need to install is the Smart Chime, because the VDB780, it can only connect via Wi-Fi to the Smart Chime, so we have to set that up first. And you're gonna click on video camera. Even though it's a Smart Chime, it does fall under the video camera category. So click on that, and right there I do have an installation failed. This is where I enrolled it earlier and then deleted it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click restart on that, and that way we can see the whole setup. Basically it says prepare for installation, make sure you have internet available and a router with a Wi-Fi protected setup. Basically with your router, the WPS method is going to be the simplest, but if not, just knowing the network name and the password is going to be good enough. So we'll go ahead and click start, and basically check the router for WPS. It's asking if we have WPS on ours. I'm going to go ahead and click no, and that way you guys can see what that side of it looks like. The WPS option, if it does have it, basically you'll press a button on here and you'll press the side button on the chime. They'll connect to each other, and then that's all there is. But if you do need to manually enroll it, we need to power it up, and that's what it was just saying there. And basically it is going into access point mode, so this can take up to 2 minutes, so I'm gonna skip through this and I'll come back when the last couple seconds are ready. All right, so we are down to 3 seconds remaining. So once that is finished, it is going to give you the instructions to follow for connecting this directly to your Wi-Fi. I am going to run through it with you guys though, so just follow along if need be. Basically what we need to do here is bring up our Wi-Fi section, which is going to be up here for me. That is our Wi-Fi here, but we're going to click on Chime Config. So basically that is this Chime's Wi-Fi network. It's actually putting out a Wi-Fi network right now. You won't have any internet when connected to this, so it'll always say connected without internet, but as long as it's connected, we're good to go. So now that we're connected to the Chime's Wi-Fi network, we're going to click connected here. And this is where we're going to need that piece of paper that I was talking about earlier that comes with the Chime. We're going to click on enter network info. And what it's going to do is, if it works, sometimes you have to manually go to a browser and type in the IP address. Okay, so it did have an error this time, so we'll do it the hardest way. So basically what we need to do now is we need to go to a browser, we need to open up a new tab, and in the very top, we're going to type in the IP address that it gives right here. And actually, I'm going to copy this from there. Alright, so I've opened up a new browser, paste the IP address there, click enter, and it's going to ask you what language you want to do this in. I click English. So now you can tell the Chime to scan for Wi-Fi networks. So click scan, and what it's going to do is it's going to search and it's going to find all the available Wi-Fi networks. You'll just find yours in this list. You'll click the Wi-Fi you want to use and you'll type in the key format. You'll have to check your router for what your key format is. Most of them are AES, so I wouldn't change it if you don't know, but we're going to go type in network password, so I'll be right back. I need to go over there to get that. So I typed it in, I clicked save, and we are good to go. So it is trying to make this thing connect to the router right now. And it says refer back to the app to continue the installation. So even though I came back, it seems to have kicked me back out to this part. But anyway, at this point, you should see this second LED right here, the cloud, and that basically means that it is connected to Wi-Fi. So even though technically the app messed up, I can just go back to this screen where it says configure device, Chime 1, and click next. So it already knows what I want to name it because I already did it once, but basically the first thing it would do is ask you for the name of the device, and it would also download any firmware updates it may have, and then it'll connect to your account. You click next, and the last screen was basically telling you where to place the Chime. You can place it anywhere in your home that you can find an outlet. I do recommend kind of centralizing it between your router and any cameras that you're going to be connecting to it, especially the doorbell camera if you're going with this model. Once that's done and you got it in place, just make sure that both of these LEDs come back up. And we're going to click next again. And it's just going to continue through the enrollment process. It's going to do a signal strength check, and then it'll ask if you actually have a doorbell that you want to enroll. So I had good signal strength because our router's right there. I don't have to worry about that. But if you do have bad signal strength, you're going to want to move that around, you know, get a better signal strength to it. And now it's asking if I want to go ahead and install the doorbell. Alright, so I had to step away for a few, but coming back to this, where we left off, the Chime is installed, and we need to move on to the VDB780, and the very first thing you're going to need to do whenever you're going to enroll this is connect the VDB780 to the Chime. So to do that, we are going to hold the button down until it enters WPS mode, and you can tell when it enters WPS mode by the LED ring on here. It will begin to flash blue, and once it starts flashing blue, we're going to have to come over to the Chime, hit the WPS button on there, and then it will connect automatically. So give me a second to hold this. I think you have to hold it for 45 to 60 seconds, and once it starts flashing blue, you can let go of the button. So give me 1 second. Alright, there it is. So, and now that we have our camera flashing blue, I'm going to turn this a bit so I can see it. We're going to come over here, and there's a button on this side of the Chime. You just tap it, and then let it do its thing. So it is going to take a couple minutes. Basically, you'll just see the flashing light on the far right of the chime going off, and then this will flash blue for a while. Once it starts flashing red like that, it means it's found the network. So now it's just trying to connect to it, and then it will eventually turn to a solid green. So I'll be back when it does that. All right, so we got our green solid LED on our VDB780, and that means it's connected to Wi-Fi, but it is not enrolled yet. Once it is enrolled, the LED will actually just be blank until the button is pressed. So now what we need to do is go back into the app, and some of you still may be at the page where you finish the chime installation and it says to add a doorbell. So you can follow that prompt now, and it will take you to the same screen that I'm going to here, but basically it's just another add device page. So if for whatever reason you did back out after you added the chime, or you didn't have the doorbell at the time, just go into add device, go to doorbell camera, and alarm.com should automatically see the VDB780. So all we have to do now is press the install button, give it a name, and I'm going to name it DB1, and you click next up here, and then it's going to take a few minutes to install, but it does the same thing that the chime does. It does any firmware updates that it might need, any installation processes it has to go through, and the VDB780 has a lot more data to push to your alarm.com account than the chime did. So this can take, I've seen it take up to 5 minutes depending on how quick your internet is. So just be patient, let it go, and it will give you a percentage, amount done. So just keep an eye on it, and once it's finished, I will be right back. All right, so the camera's finished enrolling. Basically the light goes off on here, and on your app you'll see DB1, it'll say next, click next, and this is where it will allow you to basically see live footage from the camera so that you can place it. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to bring up a live view of what the camera can see so that you can place the camera as needed. Once you do so, click next. It's going to ask you what push notifications you want to enable for the doorbell. Doorbell call notification, that's basically if somebody presses the doorbell, you're going to get a notification, and it's going to prompt a call between the two of you so that you can use your app to talk to them and vice versa. And then also a low battery notification. You are going to want that on, but they say these batteries are supposed to last about 6 months, so you shouldn't see that often, but I would turn it on, that way you know when it's coming up. Recording rules is the next section. So doorbell call, whenever somebody presses the button, it's going to automatically record a clip. Person detection, if it sees, and if you have video analytics with your video package, which you will need with this camera, you can turn on person detection, and if it sees somebody walking up to your doorbell, it will automatically record a clip, even if they don't press the button. You can configure those, and there's a few features that you can go into, but in previous videos I've covered everything you can do with cameras on alarm.com, so I'm not going to go heavy into that today. I am going to take a look at the chime though, because that is one device that we haven't showcased through the app yet. So once you're done, you just back out, and then if you go to doorbell camera, you can pull up your live view. You can see, what the camera is seeing at the moment. You can check out your saved clips, things like that. And then if you go up there to the top right, hit the gear, you can change the device name, you can see the battery level of the device, and you can change the image quality, the motion sensitivity, all the different rules pertaining directly to the camera itself. But if we scroll down here, you'll see alarm.com Smart Chime settings. So that is how we're going to access the way that this chime operates. By default, it doesn't do a whole lot. Like I said, it's a Wi-Fi extender or a smart gateway, basically, where it connects directly to alarm.com devices. So that's going to be your main feature out of this, but you can choose like what tones the chime is going to use and things like that. If we go into the general settings for the chime, you can basically change the tone level. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because it is kind of loud. And then right here, it gives you a whole list of things you can choose for what you want your chime to be. So, you know, if we click Christmas Special, you can click Test Chime You can click Test Chime Tone. And it's just like Christmas. So, anyway, you can choose, you know, whatever you want as your chime, and that's going to go off anytime the button's pressed. So, you know, if you want to change it for, you know, different occasions, there's a couple Christmas ones you can choose from. There's a xylophone. There's a standard ding-dong, a low-tone ding-dong, you know, barking dogs, whatever you want. Basically, just choose what you want your chime to be, and you can also turn it on and off the chime LED. So, like, if it's something that you know, you want to keep an eye on to make sure it's connected at all times, don't turn that off. But you know, if you have it in a location where the light's a little distracting, or like it's in a bedroom and you don't want any light on, you can turn the LEDs off, and that will basically just make it blank for any time that it's not, you know, being activated or being messed with or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else to talk about. I mean, the chime is what it is. It's just a chime, and then the doorbell camera is exactly that. It's just a doorbell camera. So they're both pretty simple devices. There's not much else to talk about. But other than that, if you guys don't mind, leave a like, subscribe. If you got any comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I will catch you guys on the next one.